Let's see what we got. August 10th, Thursday, August 10th. We're here tonight. We're going to talk to Rick Meredith, one of the first families of Anderson County over the last half century. Great family, public tradition, public service. We'll talk a little bit about that. He's now the president of the chamber, the Anderson County Chamber, and not to be confused with Christine Michaels of the Oak Ridge Chamber. So we're going to ask some questions and see what paths we're on and talk a little business because Rick has a great background with the state and economic development, so we'll learn a bit there. We're excited. Everything's going on. Football's here, guys. Next week, the defending state champions, the pride of Anderson County, right, Brad? The Anderson County Mavericks will open their season at Powell. That's a big game. We'll have it right here on Channel 12. So if you want to watch the game, you can watch it right here. Am I missing anything, Brad? Okay, I'm good. So anyway, we're going. Oh yeah, they start a new Wednesday night show. Everybody listen. David Gillum show, and where do you go from being a state champ? But they're going to try to defend it. I'm telling you, pound for pound, I've said it 100 times. Richie Noseboy went to Naval Academy this year. The best football player, toughest football player I've seen in just decades. Just a great kid. I loved watching him play because no matter how far they get behind it, he just hand him the ball. He's just tough. Remind me a little bit of Steve Fritz in Oak Ridge back in the 60s, but just plowing people down. Welcome, Rick. You busy?
Oh, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your history because I've known you 30 years, right?
Yeah.
We used to joke back and forth.
Right.
You had Patsy. I knew better than Joe, but Patsy was just electrifying. Knew everybody. Worked in Clinton for years. City council. Did a lot of leadership there. And there were some pockets there, and she was in one pocket, and she was a strong leader. And then there was some main brands. Your father was Register of Deeds.
Correct.
How about that? I got that right. And Mark Alderson's father was
Circuit Court Clerk.
Circuit Court Clerk. Two guys.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. He put a lot of time in. He did good. Mark was good.
Absolutely, yes.
And he struggled for a long time
Yes.
in pain.
He did.
He did. He was a tough guy. Mark did a lot of work. Over there in Westwood Estates?
Westwood
is where he lived?
Estates,
Yeah,
yep.
second house. He was a great guy. Mark did well. So anyway, let's make sure I get it right. Both of them from Clinton originally?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what years, tell me how it went. What happened?
Well, so my mom was on city council for one term.
No, same age?
My dad was older.
That's right. And they both went to Clinton High School?
Yep.
But not at the same time?
That's not the same time. That's correct.
What's that? You remember?
6 years apart.
6 years. That's not bad. Trust
Yeah.
me. You know, I can't preach much
from
in this area.
experience, right?
I can't preach much in this area. So, what year did your dad graduate?
I don't recall. He was
50s?
in the 50s, early 50s.
Yeah.
Went
Buddy
to work.
Scott,
Yeah, all
Oak
Buddy
Ridge,
Scott.
all that group.
All the gang. Yeah. In the
Well,
good old
Democrats
days.
ruled the world in those days. I was in here. I was a
That's
Democrat, but we
correct.
all worked it.
Yeah.
We did it. But you got to function within the system, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
It was and you've done a great job of that. And if you're really good at what you do, it really doesn't matter who's in power.
Right.
You just do your job,
That's
get
right.
your money, and go on. So your dad got out of high school. Did he go straight to work for the county government?
Went to the Air Force.
Oh, yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
think about that.
did that. Served, then went to work out at Y-12
Mm-hmm.
for a couple of years, and then decided he would be a county commissioner or squire.
Okay, in those days, right?
Yeah, and then jumped ship and ran for Register of Deeds.
Wow.
Stayed
You did
there
that too,
32 years.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I guess they knew the Meredith name. That didn't hurt you any, did it?
That did not hurt me. That's correct.
So you got elected in
1990.
what was it, 90? I was going to say earlier than that. And then you left went to the state in
2003.
03. So I can't keep up with all this.
Yeah.
I'm too old, et cetera, et cetera. So you went up there. That was good. And you did. And tell us a little bit about the state. You worked for Bredesen.
I did.
What a sharp. You went in with him, actually.
I did.
And you
yes.
were an associate commissioner or whatever it's called, of
Assistant
economic
commissioner.
development.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you do when you were up there?
So basically, my job in economic development was I handled all of the grants from community development to workforce development to training, as well as the recruiting part of ECD.
That's a big part.
Staff of about 150 people from Memphis to Kingsport
In the field.
different departments.
And you said that you spent time with our senator, Bill Haggerty, when he first went to work for Hassel.
I did. When he transitioned in, I came back to Nashville and spent 2 or 3 days transitioning with him as a new commissioner appointed by Haas.
And you worked here developing commercial business with Hollingsworth Industries and other companies and other people, and pretty successful. A lot of development in those days.
Yes.
wasn't it? And that's like, can't keep up with. That's 2010, maybe 8.
I left in 2010,
you
correct.
go, right.
Went to work for Joe, spent 5.5 years there.
Term myself, of all the people that I've ever polled or talked about, Bredesen may be the most popular. I knew his wife, Maria, and a little bit him, but as just a Nashville phenomenon as a
Yeah.
mayor. We lost Charlie Strobel this week, the priest that did all the room at the inn and everything was close to the Bredesens. In fact, they're using Sound Stadium to have a memorial for life. And I worked for him for a couple of years, a close friend of mine. But he had a great, he'd go in and see Bredesen, he'd say, "What do you want, Charlie?" He knew right away. He said, "What do you got to do? What are you going to do here?" So, I mean, I just have great feelings about the Bredesens.
One of the smartest men I've ever met
Oh, absolutely.
and worked with.
Yeah. Well, he's analytical. He has that ability. Haggerty's a little bit similar. You analyze it and you figure out what the answers are.
Well, he
and
had a
you go.
PhD, pretty could figure it in his head.
That's right.
Wasn't
Well,
fooled very much by
well, he's in Massachusetts doing in the healthcare industry,
healthcare
right? For years.
Yes.
And then he went on and he did public service, which, to be fair, Massachusetts people are inclined that way. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of
That's
them. It's
true.
not just the Kennedy machine or the Stark. They
Yeah.
just, a lot of people there are government. It's like a breeding ground for government service. And, having worked a little bit, a decade in government, it's an underappreciated role.
Right.
I mean, you think, bureaucrats, and we went through those years and that kind of stuff. And I still hear it to today, to people who work today. But in some roles, you just got to, first of all, people that work in government are not paid like they are in private industry. The day I left government, I was doubled my salary within 5 years. You know how that
True,
works.
absolutely.
And it's hard to get appreciated for everything you do because you're a steward of somebody else's money.
That's right. That's
It's hard to
exactly
do.
right. Everything's
So
watched.
when you were with the Register of Deeds, which Tim worked for you, and now Tim does that. And
Correct.
so over the 50 years, it's been pretty much 3 or 4 people. It hasn't been a lot of people.
That is correct.
And it's a pretty clean-cut office. It always has been. It's done well. But I went in there for something not long ago. Man, the technology.
Yeah, it's totally changed. That was just coming on the cusp as I was moving out. Now it's even went
It's
even further.
unbelievable.
Yes.
I called Jeff Cole over the weekend, and I said, "God, the thing's expired. Need a tag. We're going out of town. It's been 2 weeks or whatever, et cetera, et cetera." I said, "Are you open?" "No, we were open last weekend." Because he were on a golf course with Rex where they spend their time.
Right.
And I said, "Well, what kind of," he said, "Well, just go down to the kiosk and do it."
Sure.
Well, as it worked out, the kiosk wasn't working. But the truth of it,
We tried.
the server was down. But that's technology. Where you can
Sure.
go down there and swipe your
Yeah.
driver's license and get something done, or go online. And stuff. But in emergencies, it's hard to do that. But I just can't get over how much it's all changed. I've been written grants and stuff, and it's just so much easier. COVID made working at home, which our company, my private company I work for, engineering firm, still to this day, we probably run 1 day a week in the office for most of our employees and 3 at home, where they're set up and they do stuff. And most of our customer base is NNSA and DOE and some Oak Ridge installations, especially Y-12. But it's changed.
Very
Tell me
much so.
about the Chamber of Commerce a little bit. Just
Okay.
start from scratch. Okay, I knew it when we went to Christmas parties every year, and we go down there and we do our
Sure.
thing. And I remember those days in the late 90s. It was a fun place to be. And you had the economic development was in the same building, correct?
Correct. Still there.
Okay. So Tim Thompson's gone.
Correct.
Who's doing that now?
Andy Wallace.
And what does Andy do?
Andy is the president of Anderson County Economic Development Association. So the difference is on the chamber side, we do the retail, take care of our chamber members. He handles the industrial side. But he and I are great partners.
Sure, you
He
have to.
covers, we cover for each other. He's not there. Help with each other on projects, especially the industrial side.
Has the land problem gotten any better?
It has not.
25 years ago, we couldn't find a piece of land anywhere to develop.
That's still the struggle. Yeah, we're running out of inventory, so-called, as you'd speak, with land. Got some buildings, but not a large parcel of land. You got a few 10, 15 tenant, got some of those in spots, but we don't have like that large industrial park like we currently have at Frank Diggs.
Do we really need it? I mean, we've got a lot of industrial parks.
That's a good question. And Andy and I have talked about that several times. I think that's when you bring in a consulting expert and say, to your question, do we really need a 300-acre industrial park? Can you fill it? What's the return on investment? What the cost is? because it's really changed.
Because basically,
as we
you got
come
to
forward.
develop a farm. It's basically what you got to do.
that's
You got to
the
find
bottom line.
farmland or some kind of commercial land where you can get out there. That's a big
Yeah,
lot.
and with the real estate market the way it is, it's not 10,000 an acre anymore.
Yeah, it's for sure.
So then our government has to fund some of that, grants and so forth. So you have to have all the infrastructure or you can't get the return on investment just to even land the project.
I was working on a campaign a couple of years ago, and I was actually it was early last year, and I was traveling through these rural counties, Fentress and these
sure.
other counties, talking to election registers, getting information I needed, talking to customers. I'm more like you go down and see Aunt B. You don't talk to the mayor.
Right.
So, and all they talked about is the migration into the state.
Oh, yeah.
And in the cities, it tends to be more progressive from locations like Seattle and California. But in the rural areas, it's people leaving the east and the north to come down here to live in countryside. So getting migration from both perspectives of the
And we
vote.
track that information at the chamber with relocation packages, and they're coming.
Yeah, and so I think probably for me, housing would be as a bigger issue than
It's in 2 meetings today just on housing. It's
Oak Ridge has got the west they can work on in Roane
the
County.
west.
But
But, when you look at, if you look at an aerial view, you have Hardin Valley.
Hardin Valley.
And on the other end with us, you've got Emory Road.
People
So
don't
it's
realize
all
Hardin
getting
Valley
full.
bumps right up to Anderson on that
Absolutely.
back road back
Right.
there. I was campaigning, I'd see one sign, Anderson County signs on this side, and I didn't realize that on Emory Road, you get some Anderson
So
County.
it's getting full, even with retail, so it pushes to the middle. So it's pushing over to Anderson County side. And I've spoke to several developers, your housing developers, they'll take any parcel they'll get in Anderson County, and really price is not an issue because of the housing.
When you say a
boom.
parcel, you mean an individual
Yeah,
parcel?
5 acres or more.
Yeah, I got you. It's where they
As
can
long as
develop
it's
2 or
got
3
sewer,
homes.
they can get water and electricity.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the norm, and that's what they're looking for, and they're currently looking. When you have the workforce, the expansion and the job growth we have in Clinton, mainly automotive.
Sure.
You know that.
Yeah.
And then you come down here, we're a very diverse county when you have Oak Ridge with DOE. Now we're bringing in these nuclear reactors and TVA, more jobs. Bull Run's going to switch over, and, it's going to keep going. Well, up here, everybody's still buying cars. We're still making car parts, and they're all very successful on that. So Anderson County as a whole is striving very good economically as far as jobs. Well, the problem is we got more jobs than we got people. We just about went below the 3% mark in unemployment, I think a month or so ago. Well, just think about that. If you throw numbers, everybody that's got a job, wants a job's got a job.
Yes.
Well, then you take the seasonal average, your tourism jobs, marinas and all that, and it's tough. So then the companies are having to look outside of
I don't want to get too deep into COVID, but COVID just
killed us. Yes.
it killed us in a lot of ways, but it mainly killed us in people learned how to make money without working.
That's exactly right.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Well, I was getting this and this and this, and to you cold turkey that.
Absolutely.
So those now they're not trained as well. They're not.
And they're working from home getting paid. That's a big issue right now. With companies trying to get people to come to work that are hiring. No, I'd rather work 4 days a week.
Musk was right, though. I'm not going to do that. Elon said, you come into work or you're fired.
Sure.
I think there's a place for that. We're going to take a 2-minute break, Rick. We'll come back and talk some
Sure.
more about economic development.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
when should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Welcome back. We're talking with Rick Meredith, one of the few political figures in the Hall of Fame here in Anderson County. We ain't opened it yet, but he'll get in there, trust me. He's done a great job for this county and a lot of people. Really, you provide a lot of advice for people over the years and guidance.
Sure.
He used to come in my office and read me, and we do our political stuff, but we both worked hard for the same things. All right, let's go back and look at these housing in this. Anderson County is somewhat landlocked. You got Oak Ridge, you got Solway. Claxton seems to have some property, but I don't know how far it goes and what it is. And Claxton, then you go over across Clinton Highway, and it seems like there's more spacious stuff.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know. We got to talk about flat land. We got to talk about a lot of redevelopment stuff, et cetera. What is the population of Anderson County today within a couple hundred people?
We're almost at the 80,000 mark. 79, 7, something along those lines. But that was 4 years ago. I would say that's grown at least 25 to 3,000 people.
When I started in the political world in the late 70s, worked Jim Sasser's campaigns, all the way into the 80s, Oak Ridge was 28,000 people. Anderson County was probably 60-something.
Right.
All right, so we represented roughly 40% of the population.
Right.
Now we're 30 out of 80. Now, if you can do 3 times 8, folks, that means we're 24% or less of the population. So when you Oak Ridgers talk about, I'm going to run because Oak Ridge is strong, you got to get to Elza Gate and you got to get past. And I'm telling you, folks, it's 2 different cultures. Yeah. But so you're limited there. With all this development that's going on, wouldn't that economically, the tax revenue's got to be going up?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You think they know how to spend it? Now, I can't say my wife's on that group, so I got to be real careful what I say.
Not going to comment.
She's conservative, though.
Former county commissioner.
You are a former county. You're former, yeah. But I like these young kids. I mean, there's 4 or 5 of them in their 40s, and they question everything.
Fine with that. They should.
Yeah, I do too.
Absolutely.
I mean, they really do.
That was the first advice I gave some of them. You're not going to know if you don't ask questions.
Well, I'll go right down. Vandergriff is sharp. I mean, she's out there at Eisen, and she's a sharp young woman, and she's good. Tyler's always been smart. Tyler's good, and there's nothing wrong with Tyler. Tyler does a great job. And Foster, don't underestimate that young man. He knows what he's doing. I've sat in Abram a couple of times, and of course, there's my wife's in that group. You got to have an antagonist. You can get a group together, but you got to have one puncher. Sure. She's the puncher. Right. So, but they're all study their stuff. They study their stuff. I'm impressed. In the old days, we just went in there,
Oh yeah.
You were probably the most. You were very quiet, but you were probably the most business-like commissioner we had, because everybody else had some kind of agenda. We had about half Democrat, Republican, or conservatives. It's now we have Anthony and Varan, so that's all we got for the fight. But I think and I like Varan. No, I guess he's in my neighborhood, but I like him. I like everybody. I mean, I like diversity. Is that a good word?
Yeah.
So I think we got a lot to do, but where does commission need to go, and what's the business plan for the county? That's what I'm asking.
Well,
I know that's not your job per se, but
So one thing I talk about, and this goes for municipalities too, in sitting in my job every day, I see the relocation packages. I see what the employers, where they're hiring, plants closing somewhere else and they're moving here. I'm in meetings with the Oak Ridge side on the nuclear, and you've heard all about the reactor and all the 4 coming here. That's a significant amount of jobs coming to our area, not counting the north end. What's the traffic going to do? 50% of the people worry about the traffic. Traffic's becoming a problem in Clinton, believe it or not. When you take 4,000
It's not much of a
workers-
highway system.
No, it's not. But on the north end, you take...
Seavers Boulevard's okay.
But it's becoming a problem because everybody's, well, where's all the traffic? Well, it's because people's moved here.
Yeah. You get across the interstate, there's a few people out there.
Right. So you take Solway and Edgemore Road all the way to Claxton School, people cutting across, we probably could go there, and it's lined up. Edgemore's going to get a totally remake. That road's going to be totally replaced. 4 lanes, new bridge, all that's coming. And then here we go straight over to Claxton. The county commission has, or the school board, excuse me, they voted to build a new school in Claxton, secured the land. So all of that
They
growth,
need one.
they need one bad.
Yeah.
So back to your question, I try to tell the leaders I am in front of, commission, council, you got to get ready for growth.
Oh, yeah. And that means
And
infrastructure.
it's you can't react at the last second. Infrastructure is the key. All developers are looking for
Sure.
the water, the sewer. Electrical's okay, but water and sewer's your number
Somebody
2.
asked me one time, if we could eliminate all grants but one, what would you keep? And I said, tips. You got to have that infrastructure money. It's just
Yes.
too important. It really
So
is.
when you get the housetops, so the spinoff is retail, then you get stored, then you get the bigger developers. And then there goes all the land next to the interchanges, which we're almost full at the Clinton exit. So that means you're going to bump up to 129 at Rocky Top. There's several pieces of commercial land there available. And that's where the growth is just going to keep coming this way.
They need
Or
help.
up 75.
I really like Lake City people. I always did when I was there, but they need some help downtown.
They do. They absolutely.
I would take a bulldozer if you could get a grant and just take the buildings. They've done it in Oak Ridge. Like if you go up certain areas, they got new
Sure.
houses
Oh,
coming
yeah.
up. It looks a lot better on the traditional west side, and that's what you got to do. You got to get started, right?
But the municipality, and they're all doing the best they can.
That's right.
But
It's not the
we've
government.
got to prepare for it, and it's tough. It's not just the wave of the wand, and we can prepare and come one, come all, because it has to be strategically placed. Because they have to have fire protection. There's more to just building a subdivision and saying, "Oh, there it is." There's a lot of things on the
It's hard to
government
sell
side.
houses with septics and stuff like that.
So that's what I try in my role to assist municipalities as well as the county when these developers do come. Let the mayor know, let whoever needs to know, hey, these people are looking, you saw on Emory Road a 1,100 house development that Smith-Built's doing. That's a big subdivision.
Well, add the money up. You go
So-
300, you're talking
Yeah,
about a
so
lot
just
of money.
calculate. You talk about the tax, and you just calculate that. And of course, by the way, we have Norris Lake up on the north end, which is a huge attraction. So what the tourists do is they come down from Ohio and all these states, and man, this is beautiful. Hey, honey, we're going to sell the house for twice as much and come down here and live for half as much.
For what that's worth, that's what the Manhattan Project people did. My father was from
Right.
Rhode Island, mother's from Illinois. Why go back?
Exactly. And that's happening. We have Detroit with automotive. People from Michigan are down here all the time. They get down here and say, man, we like this. Well, then it's Michigan, New Jersey, Florida, California, and Ohio are probably the top 5 states that we send relocation packages that coming down here.
I hear a lot of California when I'm in
Yes,
rural counties.
yes.
You're right, though. Michigan as well, and Ohio, and those. The Rust Belt's got a lot of retired people.
And what I mean by
They're
preparing,
running from snow up there.
Yeah. When you prepare for them, we have the changing of times. People say, I really don't want you here. Well, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
The people moving in from Ohio, because of just the way it is, the house is 5 times the worth up there, and they cash out and they come here for half the cost.
And
we don't have a state income
sold
tax.
a D house in the neighborhood that was remodeled for $380,000. That's ridiculous.
Sure. So that's happening. It's going on. So, we can either prepare and be ready for it, or we can sit and complain because people are moving to Tennessee everywhere, not just Anderson County.
how is the money for redeveloping? I mean, like, you got to have banks and you got to have lending institutions that are willing to, and it's a pretty insecure market because you don't know up and down. Are they loaning money to build stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Are they?
Now, well, with that said, you know, back in our day, you had your smaller construction outfits, the guys that we knew, several names.
Evans,
that
sir.
yeah, that could operate on their own. They can't. Now you've got D.R. Horton, Smith Built, Goodall,
Sure.
Ball. I mean, you got
Schaffner,
all of and they're so large. They buy in such quantity. They buy this. They spit 30 houses out in 6 months.
Yeah.
The little guy can't compete with that. You know, the ones that in the 70s that would build subdivisions, stick build a house one by a time. Well, Alan
Sure.
will get you to here next.
Sure, we had a lot of friends that were in
They're
that
just
business.
not there anymore. Yeah, we did. They can't compete, and so now they're remodeling to
Yeah.
make a living.
That's pretty good amount of living.
Yeah.
That's pretty good living because there's a
Yeah.
lot of houses that need remodel,
Right.
especially in this city. I mean, it's kind of where it is. So, how much interaction is there between the Anderson County Chamber, which in my world is uniquely different than the Oak Ridge Chamber?
Yes, sir.
And I don't even, a lot of people say, why is there even an Oak Ridge Chamber? And I said, that's easy. It's a unique niche here in this town.
Absolutely.
Anderson County has kind of like school systems. I learned a lot. One thing I learned from being in county government, being an Oak Ridge kid, one thing I learned was when you're trying to serve Claxton, you come around over here and you get to Lake City, you get to Norris,
Right.
you come around to Dutch Valley. This is a massive challenge.
Absolutely.
Different demographics, different collateral
Absolutely.
issues. I felt, I learned to feel some sympathy towards that kind of. Clinton and Oak Ridge are contained communities. The streets go like this and this. These streets out here,
They're up and down.
New River wants fire protection. New River wants
Sure.
this, and all of my
remember
in-laws
that,
are from
yeah.
there. But I can remember when my wife's grandfather died. We sat there in the living room for 2 hours before anybody could get there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different world. So that's just to show you how spread out it is, et cetera, et cetera.
Urban and rural.
Yeah, not just urban and rural, but it is broad rural.
Broad,
I mean,
yeah.
how do you? It's just different. Albert Schlesser. I mean, that's my guy,
Oh, yeah.
right? John
Oh,
Shuey
John
too.
Shuey, yeah.
I mean, these were old timers that knew what they were doing. I didn't mean to say, John, that you were as old as Albert, but I
Don't
mean,
call
John.
him
Yeah, I love Albert though. Albert, gosh, he was 90 something
Yeah,
when he
absolutely.
got
Yeah.
off there, wasn't he? 90 something. He was a good man. But people know and trust you. I tell Candace all the time, it's not about issues. It's about comfort levels.
That's
Do they
right.
like you? Do they feel safe with you?
Yeah.
And that's where that's at. So what is the Anderson County Chamber's doing a lot of different things now. I see street dances. I'm a little concerned about that one, but that's okay. You block off the street and have dances.
Sure.
You may have copied that from Oak Ridge now that I think about it, but I'm not sure.
I try not to.
That's successful right there. And you got stuff going, and you got. I'll tell you what. Let's talk about before we go to break. Let's talk about the Daugherty Building for a few minutes. Can you? I was supportive of it. I'm not eagerly supportive of it, but it didn't bother me.
Right.
I mean, why not do something with the building,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. So is that moving ahead?
Yes. Yep.
And
It's
people
right
got misled.
It's right next to our office.
Yeah, I know.
see
I
all
know.
the-
And I think the point people, and I brought them on the show, but the point people to understand was it's not low income. It's you know how it is. You're in economic development.
yes.
45, 50,000. You couldn't be rich and live there, but you could. You had it was. What would you call it? It was
Well, it's workforce housing.
Modified,
It's-
yeah,
Yeah,
well-
you could say it that way.
yeah. It had a name for it. I can't remember, but it was a second tier kind of thing. And I thought it was a good use for a developer to try to fix that up and put those numbers in there. And I can't. There's no way that 40 bodies or 50 bodies more downtown can hurt you.
No.
I don't know the parking issues, and I don't know the other issues, but more people downtown, the better.
Right.
Tell me about Market Street.
Market Street's thriving.
Is it?
We have the historic downtown Clinton group that was started in the chamber, and we got
It's got
now.
big.
Yeah,
I think it's gotten beyond antiques,
Yeah,
hasn't it?
yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, and it's slid over to its own 501c3, historic downtown Clinton. Catherine Burkebeck's the director now.
I don't know any of these people over there.
But it's our historic hub. The Clintons done a good job doing the historic district there, taking care of it, making sure zoning's correct and the right things happen with these older buildings. And it's just really a niche, just to be honest with you.
I know some odd thing. Like the stair Stair young man started his business a few years ago. Adam did, and I think it's done well. And I think
Still
there's some,
there.
yeah, still that's a sign right there. Yeah, but I guess there's still a great deal of antiques.
Yes.
Are they quality antiques compared to other places? Can you get a feel?
You know, Alan, I'm not an antiquer.
Yeah, me neither.
You couldn't put two together, and I couldn't tell you how. I'm just not. I just know what they tell us with their sales.
Yeah.
The things that they're doing, they're very successful. So,
They're enjoying it, huh?
Yeah.
Not a lot of empty space.
No, there's actually none.
Well, that's a good sign when there's none, right?
Yeah. And of course, they're going to do a major streetscape with TDOT and the city partnering in a grant. That should start sometime next year, and it will look much better.
Wow. Chandler, let's take a break. 3 minutes, whatever.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference. So we can all continue to move forward together.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're talking with Anderson County Chamber President Rick Meredith. Well, so many hats over the years. I've been through it, but, county commissioner, register of deeds, quite a few things. Economic development at the state. Let's talk about where the chamber gets its money and what it does for that money.
Okay.
All chambers the same? Or funding sources vary?
Funding sources vary a lot.
Let's talk about yours.
Okay, so basically we're more membership based. We do receive some government funding, but it's all earmarked. The schools graciously give us money, and then we turn around and it goes right back out for our newsletter that's put in the Courier News.
What's the annual budget?
Our annual budget's about $500,000.
I would have guessed more than that. You guys are doing a good job.
Yeah.
$500,000. Your staff is three?
I have 3. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 3
So
people.
really, if you go back 30 years, you haven't grown any.
No,
You had the same number of people you've always had. Their front desk.
that's correct.
That's good. That's
Just
a great sign.
only
That's just
added
good
one.
management.
Just added one.
Yeah, but you always had part-timers in there.
Yeah, I got one part-time social media. I'm not a social media expert, so I have an expert on staff that can do it a lot better than us.
That's important these days.
Because you have to keep involved. That's constant. But we have to raise money. I have to raise $100,000 a year. Just operating. On
So you
top
have
of our membership.
You have membership generates $400,000.
Yeah.
And then 100,000, counting schools and everybody.
Correct.
So, and the 100,000 comes from
Our events,
direct raising and stuff.
4 to 5 events we do a year. And, then we have our community partners. So that's probably 50 businesses that give over and above their membership to help
Good.
us sustain all our other programs.
Well, I think that's a good check and balance. I mean, if you're not doing a good job and they're not happy, they're not going to be partners.
That is correct, and they're not going to write a check. That's correct.
Oak Ridge, do they vary in the way they do business? I don't
know. I get asked this a lot.
Yeah.
Like you just, what's the difference? Well, we're funded differently.
Okay.
No disrespect. Christine's more heavy on our Department of Energy and all the partners down there, and that's the way it should be. That's
Not
the
as
way
much
it's
as
good.
they used to be 20 years ago. Remember, government wrote them a big check.
That's true, and that's all changed.
They got a bigger budget than
We
you,
all,
right?
I would think so. I don't know
$1
their
million
exact number.
probably, yeah.
So and then we're funded by membership only, created as the Clinton Chamber, and then it changed its name to Anderson County.
Okay.
So, programmatically, the way her board and her bylaws and the way ours is a little different. I have 4 very large standing committees: education, workforce, business development, who does the small business piece. I have 2 leadership programs, Anderson County High School, Clinton High School. We send 30 seniors through youth leadership, 20 adults through our adult leadership program. And we do the Dream It, Do It program for the last 7 years since I've been president. We bring 8th graders into the manufacturers. They shoot these videos. So we have a lot of volunteers that do this programmatic work, and we don't make any money off of some of that. So I'm more volunteer-based, going back out in the community with our programs that we do set by our board.
Give me an example of a fundraiser outside the 400 membership money. In the 100,000 you need to raise from events. What would be an event?
So we do an annual awards luncheon, so
I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah. So we're going to do that right out of the year. And then we have a foundation fundraiser. We did create a foundation to build our new building. We can talk about that in a second.
Okay.
And that's a whole separate part of fundraising.
Yeah, we got to talk about the new building.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And in the fall is when we'll do, like you saw, a street party. Our chair has an event, and they can say, well, our theme is this, and we want to do this. That's where those events come.
So there's
All
4 or
of those
5
are
events, and try to make 20 each. The luncheon probably being the big one.
And we have a 5K. We have the downtown 5K there in Market Street and all that, which does good.
Sounds tiring.
Yeah, I don't do it.
Let's golf. Let's go golf or something.
I paid $25.
Don't you have a golf tournament?
I do. I have a golf tournament coming up
There you go,
September
there you go.
15th. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's more in our area.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran as a young man, but I certainly don't. I had knee replacement in March, and I got to go back next March to
Yeah.
get the other one done after the primary.
Get that
So
over
I've
with
got
first.
4 or 5 of those I got to get done,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Okay. Lake City still got a chamber?
Rocky Top Chamber. We partner with them on
Sorry about that.
several events.
Yeah. It's Lake City forever for me. I just can't get over it.
Get the name, yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I admire what
tough.
they're trying to do, but
Sure.
Lake City won the 59 basketball championship.
That's true.
That's how I know them, the
Yeah.
Lakers. Man. I was only 4, but I remember.
Played against the Lakers when I played, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We were
Baseball.
younger because they didn't. It was a year after
North
you graduated.
Senators and the Lake City
My old
Lakers,
friend
yeah.
Mitchell Wells and I
Yeah.
played baseball together for years. North had good programs and everything.
Yes, they did.
Probably. I don't want to get on. I went to Jefferson. I'm gonna get on Jefferson Robertsville. You're hard. You got to hustle to be better academically than Norris Middle School.
Agreed.
It's one of the best there is.
We just cut the ribbon on their new expansion up there. It's
just
beautiful.
classic.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at people like Nikki Swisher and people. I mean, that's
yeah.
as good as it gets.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of other Nikki Swishers there, but I mean,
There
just
is.
people that are really just committed to it all.
Absolutely.
I mean, just have been for years. And you got to get out and get in. You can't stay in that. It's hard to do it for a
Right.
lot of years.
That's right.
Especially when you're pushing it today's term and with state regulations.
All the rules.
What a disaster with this TCAP
Third
grade
grade,
reading
yeah.
thing. I had them on here. They just were. Nikki and another
rough.
parent, and it was just, well, it's typical. I don't blame my people for this, but it's just typical. We need to get to place A, like you're talking about with the housing, and by God, if you don't do it, you can't go back.
Exactly.
Well, you don't have anything in place. Your measurement tools aren't good. Your
That's right.
training tools aren't. Let's back up a little bit. And like all government, they come in with something later that says, but if you have red air, you get an extra year. They always come in with something to adjust the deal to give you an out on things. So, another thing I don't like, my son is a senior at Oak Ridge and good student, but if you miss an assignment or two, you got to the end of the quarter to make it up everywhere. They've learned how to manipulate
Sure.
that system.
Figured that out, yeah.
And he's in advanced class, so he didn't have as much of that, but it's the same thing, et cetera, et cetera. So what does the Lake Rocky Top Chamber do?
They're just, they're part-time. Their executive director's part-time. It's not a full-time operation, but they've probably got 40 to 50, 60 members.
That's good.
They do what they're charged to do with what the businesses and the people in Rocky Top want them to do.
Who would be a prime business in Rocky Top that would support them? Can you think of a couple businesses?
Truist Bank's there.
Okay.
They got the one bank.
The bank, yeah.
And there's.
I was up there today. I go to the dentist up there. I love that dentist. That crew up there.
Yep.
She's a member of the chamber.
Rocky Top Dentistry.
I have to be honest with you. I went because I saw an ad in your chamber book, and I had probably not gone anywhere in 50 years from any chamber book. And it had a picture of her, and they had their crew, and they were building that new office.
It's
and
beautiful.
I said, well, I don't know any. My sister's the head of Dental Association Tennessee, but I just said I'm gonna go up there and go, and I've been going ever since for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, she's a big catalyst in that chamber.
Oh, she's so good.
Yeah.
She is so great.
Yes.
I mean, she's got energy and upgrade, and Rocky the dog, and they got to work. And Rocky's important.
Therapy dog.
Huh?
Therapy dog.
Yeah, and for me anyway. I mean,
She's gonna get your teeth
She said Rocky's coming in. I said, okay, Rock. That's where it's at. So they got a little bit going up there. That's
They
good.
do.
That's good. So what about Norris?
Norris is good. I actually met with Norris this week. They're doing their 75th anniversary.
They go into your chamber though.
Yeah.
They don't have a chamber.
Yes, they don't have a chamber. They join us. So their 75th anniversaries next year, as well as Oak Ridge's. There'll be a lot of celebration next year, 75 years old. So we'll coordinate with both of those as a chamber. We have a lot of Oak Ridge businesses. We have over 650 members, and it's spread out pretty diverse. Yeah.
Yeah, I know some Oak Ridge people that join in. If your business is more than just eating in Oak Ridge, like maybe a Dean's, or Dean's could expand, but I mean, things that are more localized with 90%.
And you got to remember, 40% of that 650 is small business, 25 employees or less. And that's the niche, that's where we're giving the most assistance to. Not necessarily your big corporations. We're there as a partner to them with assistance they need.
I think Christine Michaels has done a good job in Oak Ridge of kind of changing the old direction. Nothing against Parker. I liked Parker. But you didn't get much as a small business. I mean, you were just on the list and you did a few things. And if you were a self-promoter, you probably could absorb something. But I was always under the impression that chambers should try to get people to go to the small businesses that are in their chamber.
Yes. Shop local.
Yeah, and that's right. But if you got 2 florists on your ramp, you hand somebody a niece. If you ever need flowers, you go to A or B.
The referral. That's
I think that's important. You got to get your money. They got to get their money's worth somewhere.
Absolutely.
You have ribbon cuttings and you have a few things like that. But I mean, if I was in it, and Mother's Day or Valentine's Day was coming, I'd put out blasts on social media. Says, don't forget our 2 chamber meetings when you're thinking about your mother or something. I just think you got to help them more. What is a membership? What are membership levels?
We start at $50 for retirees, and we go from $50.
Is retirees based on age or work status?
Age.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm working 2 jobs, but I'm retired.
And I'm getting ready to start our retiree roundtable back. I would get 10 or 12 of the retirees together. They just want to hear what's going on.
So let me know so Daniel can bring some food in every time they make. Anytime I can get 10 seniors together, I'm buying the food.
Right.
That's where we're at. And I think the Veterans Breakfast is a great thing.
It is.
Go ahead. Let's come back to it.
Well, it goes up, $150 for an associate member, $250 sole proprietor, and then it's based on your employees.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like an Ison would be at the top of the chain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And with Eagle Bend. And
yes.
Those kind of
they're at the top of the chain.
Yeah, okay. So those people, you got to have those.
Oh, absolutely. They're great partners.
Yeah, and it's important because you got to have available housing to get workers. You got all this stuff. Of course, in reality, those people depend on Campbell, Scott, Anderson, and a few other places.
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, I remember when I was there with Eagle Bend doing some negotiating for the county, and the guys came in from New York. And basically, the amount of workers that came down that pike from Scott County was huge.
Oh, sure. It's huge.
It's a 30-minute drive.
Yeah,
I lived in Pittsburgh for 14. It takes me 30 minutes to get from the west side to the east side. I mean, it takes a long time. 30 minutes down 75 isn't that far.
Yeah, Scott County, Campbell, and Union would be the
Union
three
would
to
be
the
in
north.
there too. It's hard for me to remember.
Believe it or not, they've got them all the way down to Bradley County.
I believe it.
Commuting.
Because especially if you're working 10, 12-hour shifts.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And that's what they were doing in those days,
Right.
rolling them back out at that time. Who were the biggest businesses in Anderson County? Not counting Y-12. I'm talking about your rural area.
So Ison's probably at 800.
It's a lot.
These numbers change.
They were 300 a few years ago.
SL's over 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going
3 shifts.
Eagle Bend's about at 800, 900. So those three alone, and then you got Remo. You got some others tied into there. Shawmont, 3M is getting close to 300. Very high-paying jobs.
How many people work at Fox Toyota? A place like that?
Fox Toyota's probably
50
got
to
80
yeah.
employees.
People think of it as 12 people, 2 mechanics.
No.
No, there's a lot of people working
yes,
at those places.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of car dealerships in Clinton and Anderson County.
We have
That interstate.
Rusty Wallace, Ray Varner, and Fox Toyota,
Before we go to our last break, I want you to think about this. We'll talk about your dealer,
Sure.
too. But how do we turn the Lake City interstate exits into profitability? We got to figure something out. I mean, I think 2 exits, anybody in the country would draw a map and say that's profitable. But they can't get it done, and I don't know why. Maybe it's land, maybe it's something else. All right, we'll be right back. Chandler, take it out.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
When should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Before we talk about the new chamber building, which is an exciting part of Clinton's horizon here, I want to just talk about Windrock. We talk about other things. Windrock's a boom tourism-wise.
It's one of our largest attractions. Brent does a great job up there managing all that.
They get like 100,000 people a year or some crazy number.
It's more like 200.
200,000.
That's his permit plus stay numbers.
I understand.
But just think about that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of four-wheelers. That's a lot of four-wheelers, and they love it. Bicycles, too, the whatever those mountain bikes are. He does all of it. I mean, it is an unknown destination, I guess is what I'm saying.
It's not unknown anymore.
No. No, but I mean, we think it is unknown.
Yeah, that's true. My wife is she rides, and she's bought a Razor a few years ago, and she's up. She rides twice a year, but I'm trying to understand the investment. But she's good at it. She loves it, and she just doesn't have any time. She's a commissioner and she works full time. But I learned a lot from that. They really, her family and her culture always loved that stuff.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm better at a baseball game, but I mean, it's okay.
Amen to that.
Or playing ball or something like that.
The last time I want to say 30 states he tracked as far as visiting Windrock, and I could get that wrong, but it's a substantial number of visitors, and they're staying here in Oak Ridge.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
And all over.
and they're wanting to expand their campground, and there's water and sewer issues when you run it up on a mountain. So we're
And touch base just a sec. Going up 75 towards Lexington and into Knoxville, they're going to build more hotels on our exits because it's cheaper. Once you get to Knoxville, that was a good point. Or Lexington, you're paying $50, $75
That's correct. Once they cross over, there's this big gap of hotels. So, we think, and we've been told by some hotel developers, exit one, Clinton exit as well as the Rocky Top exit is prime for hotels because they're seeing the Knoxville market that stays full. And you got all the UT football games coming down 75, and our hotels are doing a great job capturing them before they get there because, sorry, we'll stay at Clinton. We got a place to eat, place to go, North Lake, and go to the game.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
We also attract some of the
Yeah,
rowers.
you're 15 miles from Neyland State.
Right.
I mean,
right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I work full-time right across from Y-12 up there in the station, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm up there. I can be in Harding Valley in 7 miles, 6 miles. I mean, the whole thing has gotten bigger and.
It's just regional. It's just
Yeah,
a
we are
regional
becoming
thing.
more regional
Yeah.
and everything. Tell us about the new building. We've got about 5-6 minutes.
Okay.
Tell me about it. So I hear a lot about it. Mostly
Okay.
money.
Oh, you got to raise money to build. Yeah.
But you've been in that building a long time,
Yes.
25, 30 years. You
Yes.
need more space. And who will be in the building?
So it'll be obviously the Chamber of Commerce and Anderson County Economic Development Association will join us. Both of them on there. It's about 7,400 square feet, very functional. The biggest thing that we have a need in Clinton, as well as others, it will have a large boardroom,
Convention
but it
type
will
center.
be a diverse room to where we can flip it to have small luncheons. We can allow partners like the Industrial Board, Historic Downtown Clinton, all our nonprofit organizations to have a place to have their board meetings and function the way they should. That's probably the diamond of the building is that room to where we can flip it and be diverse. But this came on probably, it was last year when I was approached by actually a small business owner who walked in and said, "Hey, you deserve a building." I said, "Okay, you're going to
Build me
if
one?
you got one, yeah, you're going to build." And they basically said, "Well, if you can raise $1 million, I'll give you $1 million."
Wow.
And I took that challenge because I really thought our
Yeah,
community.
50% is a lot of money.
Yeah, I thought the community would step up, and they have. We're approaching that $1 million mark very closely, hoping to break ground by October 1st.
Wow.
We've-
Where exactly is it?
Okay, so if
Now, I'm
you-
an Oak Ridge boy. I'm coming in town.
so you're at my office. Go
Okay.
straight up to Knight's Florist, where Sam Franklin.
Know where it is?
That lot on the corner.
Across from Knights,
Uh-huh.
where the rent-a-car used to be.
Yep. And
Okay.
it was the old Zen Hicks property, so
Yes.
it has a historic. And Zen Hicks was on the Court of
Can
Appeals.
you get 7,500 square feet on that corner?
Oh yeah, plus parking.
Wow. So it goes all the way over.
It's kind of an L shape.
Okay.
Just like the lots, kind of an L shape.
Where would the front door roll to?
Front door
25W?
will face, yeah, Main Street, and then there'll be a back entrance as well.
Kind of across from Deals and whatever else is over there.
Yeah, but it's a major thing for our chamber, our community, as well as our chamber members, as well as other people have stepped up. But I would not be doing my job if I didn't give you a pledge card.
Yeah, let me have it. I better make some kind of pledge.
But
Seems
we
like
have
I'm
different
pledging everybody
levels.
else. I don't know why.
We're doing different levels, and we're ready to get this thing started. And hopefully, November of next year, we'll be moving in.
That's fantastic. I think you're right. Offices can be moved around, but I think people need boardroom space, and they need space to expand.
And that's
and
what
meet.
I heard from the community.
Yeah. Almost like a mini convention center kind of thing, where people can come in and do their thing. And a place where you can get 20 or 30 people in to do work.
And as you know, from the economic development part, as far as Andy's concerned, we have a lot of people that come in confidentially, consultants, site consultants. Well, they can't come in to my office without coming into Regions Bank. And we work a lot with confidential things where we got to meet other places. well, we've designed this building, but it's got a back door. We can come in, get out, and you're not in a public building watching it. And there's a lot of that. And
Well,
more of that
and to
going
be
on.
fair, I haven't done it a lot. Industrial recruiting, you need some proprietary.
Absolutely.
People don't want to know.
And
a
the
lot of
other thing is our corporate partners, at least in Clinton, and of course I'll offer it to the Oak Ridge, but they need corporate space to have their meetings off-site, but close enough to a plant that they can go back and forth. We get that request too.
Can you lease it, make some revenue out of it?
It's called non-dues revenue in the chamber world, absolutely. But
I mean, you're going to have a higher overhead. There's
but
no
if
way you
we've
can
got
sustain that building.
if we've got large donors and of the level at the top,
Yeah.
we probably would not charge them. But to answer your question overall, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm maybe not an Iceland, but somebody mid-level comes in and says, look, we're going to have a board meeting, blah, blah, blah. I know for a fact that one of the largest corporations in the world had their board of directors meeting in West Knoxville a few weeks ago and leased a place in a hotel and
Sure.
did everything they need to do. And there's just different, New Hope Center functions for Y12 that way.
It's the same concept.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the same concept.
With the big audience. That'd be nice.
Yes.
And I think it centers you in the, listen, Clinton's the center of the county.
Yeah.
Any way you look at
County
it,
seat.
it's the center. Now, Oak Ridge is going to take I told them 2 weeks ago, and they fixed them for some reason. Maybe they heard my show, but they're going to build a convention center at the Civic
saw
Center.
that. Mm-hmm.
But they can't fix the potholes on New York Avenue. That was my statement, and my councilman called me and said, we'll get on it.
We got it.
Yeah, you got to fix potholes first. There's things you got to do in government.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Gary Long tell you, anybody will tell you that. Well, you got to have that. You got to have the basic services.
Absolutely.
Gary, I kid Gary all the time because I've done work all the time. We haven't had a bad snow since he went in office. I swear how lucky he
He's
is.
not had to deal with that. And his dad and my dad served together.
Yeah. And, you get a foot of snow, it doesn't matter if you don't have the resources or not. You're to blame.
That's right. Absolutely.
And flooding has gotten bad at times, but Gary's a lucky guy. He's really, really good at his job.
Yes.
But, I mean, he's just, he does well. And Jeff Cole has been a kind of a career guy. Jeff
Absolutely.
does a great job, too.
Yep.
And all of them do. I still haven't figured Lynch's role, but I'll figure it out. Certainly not Mr. Alderson, right? But he cares. He does a good job. He's been in it a long time.
Yes. If anybody'd like to donate, go to
Anderson County Chamber. They're looking for donations. Company, corporates. Please tell me, what's your number, Rick?
865
457
2559.
2559. 457 2559. Let's get behind this.
Yeah.
And I'll fill this out and send it in with savings.
Sure.
Can I go between 100 and 1,000?
Absolutely.
I mean, 100 seems pretty cheap, but 1,000 seems like it's
You know
gonna
how
hurt.
it is raising money.
How much time we got left before I take on another subject?
Almost 1 minute.
1 minute. We can talk for 1 minute. You see any hope for the country?
Oh, hope for the country.
You think the country? I think we work through these things.
I
but
do. I really do. I think in politics, out of politics, chamber politics, whichever way you want to.
Sure.
I just think we all need to work together like we used to.
Mm-hmm. And that's Fleischman's gig, too. He gets up here. Democrats love Fleischman because he doesn't scream at them.
I tell some folks it's like Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
We have Clinton, Oak Ridge, and Anderson County.
State champion, Anderson County.
We all come play Friday night, but we need to all go back and work for the same cause.
Yeah, we pray together on Sunday. I mean, that's the best way to look
and
at it.
I think we need more of that in the country.
I agree with you. Here's my concern. Is there any way to stop that? I mean, I don't know if we'll ever be. I mean, a kid can be in one part of the country or another. It doesn't matter. They're just, my son doesn't do anything but stocks, sports, and stays in his room, has 2 computers, and he works it all day long. Quiet, introverted, but really smart. And
he'll go a long way.
He will go a long way because the culture's slanted that way.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd be digging ditches in this world. I just don't have enough skills to survive. Listen, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
You really have
Thank
been a
you,
historic
man. I
part of
appreciate
Anderson
it.
County.
Thank you.
We're lucky to have you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back next week. I appreciate you.